Okay, let's start. So for today, we'll be discussing forgery. You might have heard of this word already sa mga past lessons natin, nababanggit na natin to. But of course, we have a separate module for this. Forgery is a purposeful attempt to make a fraudulent copy of something, whether it is a signature, money, or a piece of art. Sabi dyan, purposeful attempt to make a fraudulent copy of something. Sinadya mong gumawa ng isa pang kopya na hindi naman totoo. In short, nameke ka. Okay. Ano yung mga pwedeng mapeke? Pirma, pera, or any piece of art. Piece of art may be a painting, a sculpture, or anything that may be of a high value. Yung mga yan, pwede yang ma-forge o magawan ng peke. At ito kasing mga peke na to, kapag naibenta natin, ay of course, it would cost a lot of money kahit na peke siya. Okay, kaya siya pinipeke kasi nga malaki o mataas ang halaga nito kapag binenta natin na at sinabi natin na ito yung totoong kopya. Okay. Fraudulent means that the origin is not what it is presented to be. Peke. Okay. Documents that have been established as not genuine and that actual fraud has been determined. Legally, forgery requires the element of intent to defraud. So, para masabi natin na merong forgery sa isang dokumento, kailangan mapatunayan natin na merong intensyon na makapanloko. Pero kung itong isang dokumento ay kinopya lang, pero wala namang intensyon na manloko, legally, walang forgery na nangyayari. Okay? Not all non-authentic signatures are signed with the intent to defraud. Hindi lahat ng mga kinopya lang na pirma ay may intensyon na makapanloko. May mga ganitong kaso, for example, yung mga abogado. When they are, say, one example would be mga notary public. Hindi naman sa lahat ng pagkakataon ay sila yung actual na pumipirma doon sa notarized document natin. May mga pagkakataon na yung secretary nila or a person they trust their signature with are doing the actual signature. Bakit ganon? I don't know. Pwedeng busy lang yung mga abogado na to. But hindi naman ibig sabihin na may inutusan sila na pumirma in their absence, ay ibig sabihin peke na yung dokumento. Hindi naman. At wala ring intensyon na makapanloko dito. Gets niya yun? Hindi porket may inutusan na kopyahin ng pirma ay may intensyon ng makapanloko. Kailangan mapatunayan muna na may intensyong makapanloko. Okay? So forgery is a legal term which involves not only a non-genuine document but also an intent to fraud. However, it is also used synonymously with fraudulent signature or spurious document. History of forgery. So the crime of forgery has been practiced since ancient times where writing existed. The following are important events in the history of forgery. So first is during the 80 BC, so 80 years bago pa mapanganak si Kristo, Romans prohibited the falsification of documents that transferred land to heirs. Before, ang isa sa mga yaman talaga ng tao, actually hanggang ngayon din naman, ay ang lupain. During this time, of course, walang ibang ari-arian ang mga tao, wala namang sasakyan noon. Wala namang walang sasakyan, walang cellphone, walang gadgets na pwedeng maipamana. Ang meron, of course, other than jewelry at mga lupain, yung mga yan, ay may mga pagkakataon na fina-falsify yung mga documents for the heirs. Falsify yung document ng lupa para sa mga tagapagmana. At yun, pinagbawal na nga yun, 80 BC pa lang. And during the Middle Ages, forgery became prevalent in Europe. So of course, kapag nagkakaroon na ng prevalence in crime, kailangan magkaroon ng batas para mapigil ito. In 1562, England passed a statute prohibiting forgery of publicly recorded and officially sealed documents, especially those pertaining to titles of land. Documents, of course, were sealed. They were officially sealed. At kapag natanggap mo ito ng nakabukas na, that will cause a crime. Okay? Kaya, yan nga, noong 1562, nagkaroon na ng batas na sinasabing bawal yun. 1726 naman, false endorsement on an unsealed private document became a crime punishable by pillory, fines, imprisonment, and even death. So, yung pagbukas ng mga, o pagbibigay ng mga documents na hindi naman dapat buksan, ay pwedeng mag-cause ng iba't ibang uri ng punishment. Sabi nga dyan, pillory, fines, imprisonment, at pwede ring death. Okay. In 1823, the United States enacted the Principal Federal Forgery Statute that prohibited false making, forgery, or the alteration of any writing for the purpose of obtaining financial gain. In 1962, the American Law Institute's Model Penal Code simplified and defined the elements of forgery and became the standard for defining the crime of forgery. Ang batas kasi natin, di ba, kailangan ma-define muna kung ano ba ang crime. You know this, there is no crime if there is no law punishing it. In order for us to determine what a crime is, kailangan ma-define ito at masabi kung ano-ano yung elements niya. And nakita nga yan for forgery sa American Law Institute's Model Penal Code in 1962. Okay, expert witnesses and pioneers of document examination. In our past lessons, we were able to discuss kung sino ba ang may karapatan maging expert witness. Ito yung mga taong may knowledge, skill, and training experience regarding the subject matter that they are being asked to testify about. Ayan. So, sino-sino ang mga ito? In 539 AD, so 539 years after the death of Christ, so in Rome, the Justinian Code permitted judges to appoint experts to give testimony in court regarding the genuineness of a writing based on a comparison with other admitted genuine writings. So, it was one of the first na pinayagan ng mga judge na magkaroon ng isang tao na hindi naman actual na parte ng krimen, hindi sila witness, wala silang, kumbaga, direct na alam tungkol doon sa krimen. But they were allowed to testify in court because they studied, they experimented, sabihin na natin, on the pieces of evidence. Sabi nga dito, in 539 AD, genuineness of a writing based on a comparison with other admitted genuine writings. Di ba ganyan pa rin naman ang ginagawa ngayon? Merong standard, tapos meron ding question, then i-compare natin sila. Ganun na rin ang ginagawa noon pa. In 1812, the earliest record of expert comparison testimony in America naman was in Sov versus Dawson, where a signature on a promissory note was proved genuine. In 1814, in Homer versus Wales, the court permitted the submission of writings and the evidence of witnesses on the comparison of disputed writing. Hindi kasi sa lahat ng pagkakataon ay tinatanggap ang mga ebidensya na ipepresenta natin sa korte. May mga pagkakataong hindi. For example, polygraph. Yung resulta ng polygraph test, magagamit natin sa investigation kung pulis tayo. But hindi natin ito pwedeng isubmit sa korte at ipresenta bilang ebidensya. So ganito ang ibig sabihin nun na. So hindi lahat ng makukuha natin na at masasabi nating ebidensya ay pwede nating ipresenta sa korte bilang ebidensya. In 1914, Congress enacted the Statute of 1913, which accepted such comparisons to be used as competent evidence in court to prove or disprove the genuineness of a person's handwriting. In 1867, the first significant forgery case was tried in Massachusetts involving the traced signatures of Sylvia Ann Howland of New Bedford. The most significant testimony came from Dr. Benjamin Pease, a mathematician from Harvard, who testified on the mathematical probability of identical strokes being made in two signatures. He claimed that the likelihood of 30 strokes occurring in two separate signatures could occur only once in 931. I don't know how to read that number. But in short, ang sinasabi niya, imposible daw na maulit ang 30 strokes mula sa isang signature sa isa pang signature. As in, parehas na parehas yung 30 strokes na yon. It would be, ganito daw ang likelihood niya. Which is, in short, it's impossible na maulit ang 30 strokes sa 30 strokes ng isang signature sa isa pang signature. His methodology was subsequently proven to be inaccurate. Mali daw yung method niya. But today, it still remains true na imposible talagang maulit ang strokes na ganyang kadami from one signature or handwriting to another. Pwede siguro iilang strokes, but 30, that's impossible. Kahit kayo kahit ngayon mismo, itry nyo na pirma kayo 2 beses, pagpatungin ninyo, yung 2 pirma na yun, hindi yan magkakapares, hindi yan magkakatugma. Maliban na lang kung tinrace ninyo. Of course, magtutugma yan, trace yun Okay? In 1894, handwriting identification became sufficiently well known that 2 New York experts published books on the subject. They were William Hagen. He published Disputed Handwriting, at saka si Percival Fraser. Ang title naman ng kanyang libro ay A Manual for the Study of Documents, which was retitled Bibliotics or the Study of Documents. In 1900, Daniel Ames wrote Ames on Forgery, one of the first books on document examination. Around this time, handwriting experts who were mostly calligraphers began to testify in court as expert witnesses. Calligraphers are people who do calligraphy. Calligraphy is the art of beautiful handwriting. Of course, dati wala namang printers, 'di ba? So, ang paraan para ma-print ng paulit-ulit o makagawa ng madaming kopya sa isang libro before the typewriter was invented ay sa pagsusulat nito. So, mga gumagawa nito, scribes, some of them were also calligraphers, yung mga gumagawa ng magagandang writing. So, mga gumagawa ng certificates, yung mga yan. Okay. So, sabi nga dyan, around this time, calligraphers, sila rin ang mga handwriting experts noon. Sila ang may kaalaman tungkol sa pagsusulat. In 1900, Roland Molyneux was convicted for first-degree murder. He mailed a bottle labeled Emerson's Bromo Seltzer, but had powder containing cyanide of mercury. Ang gamot noon, of course, wala ngang printer, 'di ba? So nakasulat siya kung ano yung label ng mga gamot. So sabi diyan, Bromo Seltzer yung label, pero ang totoong laman niya ay cyanide. It was ingested by an innocent victim who died of poisoning. The landmark case involved at least 17 handwriting experts. So, ganun kadami yung nag-examine dyan sa Emerson's Bromo Seltzer handwriting doon. Including your father, Albert Osborne, the father of document examination. Okay. Albert Osborne. In 1902, Albert Patrick was convicted for conspiring to murder his millionaire client, William Marsh Rice. The Rice will case required handwriting testimony to prove that Patrick forged Rice's name on several checks and a will after he had murdered Rice. So, nag-forge siya ng mga cheque at yung will ni Rice ay finorge din niya. Albert Osborne testified in this case to the fact that the checks and will were traced forgeries. He was allowed to use photographs on transparent paper to show that the four question signatures were identical. Ewan ko kung inabutan nyo yan, pero yan yung sinaunang projector. Alala ko nung college ako, may ganyan sa school namin. Acetate, kung familiar kayo sa acetate, nakaprint doon. Tapos yung projector, ilaw siya, tapos magre-reflect doon sa pader. Parang yung projector din ngayon, but yun na nga, acetate siya. Projector kasi natin ngayon, kinoconnect natin sa desktop or sa laptop, di ba? Anyway, parang ganun yung ginamit niya. Pinakita niya sa photographs on transparent paper, tapos pinagpatong-patong niya yon yung apat na question signature kasi nga may mga cheque tsaka yung will, di ba? Pinagpatong-patong niya at saktong-sakto sila. Ang ibig sabihin nun, traced. If you can remember, one principle of handwriting identification is complete identity means definite forgery. Kapag parehas na parehas sa lahat ng parte, sure na sure din tayo na forgery yun. Okay? In 1904, John Wigmore wrote The Law of Evidence, which revolutionized the legal profession regarding expert testimony. In 1910, your father, Albert Osborne, published his seminal book, Question Documents. Yun yung title ng libro, Question Documents. The first comprehensive book on the subject considered as the Bible of document examination. The principles of handwriting identification that he described are still the basis for comparison of handwriting today. So gamit pa rin yan kung ano man yung mga naisulat doon ni Albert Osborne sa kanyang libro. 1930, the first scientific police laboratory was established. In 1932, the FBI opened their laboratory with one document examiner. About Albert Osborne, he is the father of document examination. The publication of Osborne's book is considered the beginning of modern question document examination. And he is also responsible for the founding of the American Society of Question Document Examiners in 1942. So here are some historical cases of the 20th century regarding question document examination. We have the Dreyfus Affair in 1894, Bobby Frank's kidnap and murder in 1924, the Lindbergh kidnapping trial in 1935, the Clifford Irving and the Howard Hughes biography in 1972, the Mormon will in 1978, and the Hitler Diaries in 1983. Hitler Diaries, if you are familiar with Hitler, may nagkiklaim 3 diary. Sinasabi nga kay Hitler yon. So, syempre, kung ibebenta mo yon, kung ibibigay mo sa museum, malaking halaga yon, di ba? So, syempre, people are skeptical. Ang ginawa nila, they subjected the diaries to question document examination. What they did, handwriting examination muna. Nakita na nila doon sa handwriting examination na may inconsistencies sa actual na sulat ni Hitler at doon sa Hitler diaries. But, syempre, may iba pang examination. Nag-conduct naman sila ng ink examination. At yun talaga ang pinaka nag-define na hindi yon sulat ni Hitler o hindi kay Hitler yung diaries na yon. Kasi nakita doon sa ink na gamit sa Hitler diaries, may chemical na component ng ink which is not yet present in inks during the time Hitler was alive. So, nung buhay pa si Hitler, hindi pa nag-e-exist yung ganong compound ng ganong klaseng chemical sa ink. At nag-exist lang yon nung patay na si Hitler. So, papaanong nagkaroon ng ganong chemical sa diary ni Hitler, di ba? Sa ink na gamit ni Hitler sa diary niya. So, the only explanation is that the diaries are forged. Okay. Okay, indication of genuineness. How do we determine that a certain signature or handwriting is genuine? Totoo. So to identify a signature as genuine or imitation, known genuine signatures of the person whose signature is in question is needed. So if my signature is in question, kailangan yung humanap ng genuine signature ko. You have to have your standard. 'Di ba? Na banggit na natin yan. Laging maghahanap ng standard. A standard which is in no capacity is doubtful. Kasi kung doubtful tayo kahit konti lang dyan sa signature na yan, then it will become automatically a question document. Okay. To identify an unknown writer, the examiner needs known writing sample of suspects. Yun din, standard. Kailangan mo ng standards nung suspect mo. These known samples establish a writer's unique identifying characteristics and variations. These are called exemplars or standards. So here are the features of genuine writing. They are smooth, rapid, non-stop, and free-flowing pen movement. So pag nagsusulat ka, merong rhythm. Free-flowing siya eh. Kumbaga, tuloy-tuloy sa pagsusulat. Sabi nga dyan, eto, rapid. Pag mabilis ang sulat, mas alam natin o mas maglilin tayo towards that handwriting or signature is genuine. Mas mabilis ang sulat, mas alam natin na genuine. Kasi sa kabaligtaran niya, yung mas mabagal, medyo mag-iisip tayo kung genuine yun. Kasi malamang forgery yun. Sweeping and unbroken starting and ending strokes in rounded forms. Of course, pag unbroken, yun na nga, tuloy-tuloy. Ano bang ibig sabihin kapag broken? May kinokopyahan. May kinokopya kapag broken. Okay? Pag hindi siya tuloy-tuloy. Sweeping, misplaced, and misshapen I dots and T crosses. If you were able to look at the video or view the video I uploaded last time, I explained what I dots and T crosses are. These are called diacritics. Ang natural na sulat, hindi sumasakto yung mga diacritic na yan, yung I dots, J dots, and T crosses. Minsan, pag nagsusulat tayo, we call this the body. Yung diacritic, hindi siya sumasakto doon sa taas ng body. Katulad nito, saktong-sakto siya, di ba? Ito rin letter T, saktong-sakto yung cross niya. But in genuine writing, lalo na kung mabilis tayong nagsusulat, hindi yan sumasakto. Minsan nga hindi pa umaapak doon sa body eh. Ganun siya. Joining of initials or words, wide writing and spacing, simplification of forms such as capitals. Also in signatures, katulad ko, my signature is capital D, small Ella, capital C, small Ruz, then capital letter L sa gitna. Ganun yung pirma ko. Minsan yung Ella tsaka yung Ruz, hindi ko na siya nasusulat ng maayos. Ang nangyayari, parang thread-like na lang siya. Thread-like form. So, it becomes simplified. Ayun. Joining of initials or words. Ganon kapag genuine. Pero kung hindi yan genuine, kung yan ay fino-forge, maingat na kinokopya yan. Kasi gusto nila na parehas doon sa model signature nila or doon sa pinagkokopyahan nila. Letters tapered illegibly toward the end of words. So, bandang dulo ng sulat mo, hindi na maayos ang sulat. Mark difference in pressure on upstrokes and downstrokes. Kapag genuine writing, iba ang pressure for upstrokes, iba din ang pressure for downstrokes. Kapag forged writing yan, pare-parehas ng pressure. At kadalasan, pare-parehas na mabigat, heavy pen pressure. Yun. Okay. Delicate pressure at beginning and ending strokes to letters. Absence of carefully made repair and correcting strokes. Minsan, pag nagkamali tayo sa pagsusulat, binabalikan natin yun, tapos inaayos. Pero kapag inayos natin, minsan hindi pa rin naaayos. Yung magulo yung pagkaayos natin. Pag gano'n ang nangyari, we know that it's genuine writing. But, kung nakita ninyo na yung sulat ay maayos, yung pagkakaayos, it's a sign na it is a forged writing. So, you have to be skeptical. Okay? Letter formations and pen movements that show close similarity to the exemplar's letter formation and pen movements. Flying start and flying finishes or flourishing strokes. Vanishing terminal stroke. Terminal is the last part. Alam niyo yung kapag nag-check kayo ng test paper, yung mali yung sagot ng kaklase nyo, pero chinek nyo pa rin. Yan, gawain. Kung mapapansin ninyo, sa first part ng check ninyo, makapal siya. Then sa dulo, manifest, tas parang medyo vanishing, medyo nawawala. Yun. Kapag ganon, it's a feature of genuine writing. Okay. Another is hiatus. Alam niyo yung ballpen? Siguro naman. Yung ballpen, kaya siya tinawag na ballpen kasi may ball. Literal na merong ball sa dulo ng pen. Ito. Ballpen. Sa dulo niya, merong ball. Ang trabaho ng ball, then of course, ito yung tangke, di ba? Yung barrel. Yung ink dyan, bumababa kapag nagsusulat ka. At para makababa yun, ay umiikot yung bola. Nagigets? Na-imagine nyo ba? Umiikot yung bola para makapagsulat ka, bumababa yung ink. Kaya may ink na nalalagay dun sa sulat mo. Okay. Pag masyadong mabilis ang sulat mo, hindi pa nakakababa yung ink, umikot na yung bola. So pag ikot ng bola, walang ink, tapos may space dun sa sulat mo na walang ink, tapos magkaka-ink ulit. Gets nyo? May ink, walang ink, tapos may ink ulit. Yung walang ink na yon, we call that hiatus. Sabi nga kanina, di ba, the faster the handwriting is, the more likely that it is genuine. Kaya may hiatus kasi nga mabilis kang magsulat. Hindi pa nakababa yung ink, umikot na yung bola at nakapagsulat ka na, nakausad na yung stroke mo. Hiatus. Next is broken and unfinished signature, katulad nung example ko sa inyo sa pirma ko. And careless correction or careless retouching, hindi maayos yung pagkakaayos doon sa mga kinokorek na strokes. Generally speaking, the more rapidly the writing is made, the more natural it is. The absence of approach strokes to certain letters could also be indications of naturalness when found in larger bodies of writing. Although the genuine writing of aged, ill, or unskilled writers can be slow, tremulous, and laboriously written, it will usually show a naturalness and consistency that can be recognized by the experienced examiner. Pag matanda na kasi, o kaya may sakit, o kaya yung unskilled writers yung hindi naman talaga marunong magsulat, ang pagsusulat nila ay mabagal. Siyempre, di ba, matanda na nga, masakit na yung mga joints niya. At pag may sakit, ganun din, mabagal. Tapos tremulous, madaming panginginig. Tsaka laboriously written, hirap siyang magsulat. Nag-exert siya ng labor, di ba, ng extra labor, extra effort. Pero kahit na matanda, may sakit, o kaya unskilled ang writer, may makikita ka rin daw doon na naturalness and consistency. Okay? Pare-parehas yung tremor niya sa ganitong letter. But, if a certain document is forged, some features of it may also be slow, tremulous, and laboriously written. Kaya nga, kailangan mong mahanap yung naturalness and consistency kahit na slow, tremulous, and laborious yan. Gets nyo? Okay. So, of course, this would be easier for experienced examiners. Kaya nga, yung mga experienced examiners lang ang pwedeng mag-testify in court. Okay. And last, indication of forgery. Katulad din sa genuine signature, to identify a signature as genuine or imitation, known genuine signatures of the person whose signature is in question is needed. In short, kailangan mo pa rin ng standard. Hindi pwedeng wala. Genuine man yan or forged document ang ine-examine mo, you have to have standard or genuine writings or signatures. So, general indications of non-genuineness, mga patunay or indication na fake or forged ang isang signature or ang isang handwriting or document. First, merong hesitation, may pag-aalangan. Paano mo malalaman na nag-aalangan sa pagsulat? Mabagal ang sulat. Makapal yung writing. Kasi, kaya makapal, pag nagsulat ka ng mabagal, bumababa yung ink, 'di ba? So, habang nagsusulat ka, bumababa yung ink, kumakapal yung bawat stroke mo. Yun yung hesitation, may pag-aalangan. O kaya, number 2, connected din, may pen stop at unusual places. Pen stop literally means pag-stop ng pen. Pag-stop mo sa pagsusulat. For example, sa letter O. Oh, di ba simple lang naman. Oh, diretso lang siyang ganun. But, if you stop, for example, here, when you stop here, tapos tsaka ka parang bumalik doon, it's unusual na natitigil ka doon. Hindi normal natitigil ka doon sa mga places na yon. So, yung mga yan, you should watch out for that. And these are indications of non-genuineness. Abrupt change in the direction of stroke. Direction of stroke may pertain to slant. Okay, na-discuss din to sa last video na in-upload ko. When we say slant, this may be left slant, vertical slant, or right slant. Depende yan sa paraan mo ng pagsusulat. At for example, doon sa document na ina-examine mo, left slant siya. Tapos yung standard ay right slant. Then alam na, matik na yun. Diba? Forged document yun. Next is non-continuous strokes. Hindi tuloy-tuloy. Yun nga yung sinasabi kanina, diba? Broken. Putol-putol. Then, tremors or tremulous movement. Madaming panginginig. Although, kailangan yung i-examine ng maayos. Baka matanda lang. O kaya may sakit. O kaya unskilled writer lang ito. But usually, pag may tremors, it is a sign of non-genuineness. Lack of variation of pen pressure. Ito yung sinasabi kanina. Iba ang pen pressure ng upstrokes at iba ang pen pressure ng downstrokes. Pero kapag pare-parehas, ang pen pressure, upstrokes, downstrokes, simula hanggang dulo ng document na written, iisa lang ang pen pressure, then alam mo na, non-genuine din yun. Kasi may kinokopya, kaya madiin. Madiin ang sulat. Blunt initial and terminal stroke. Unnatural pen stop and pen lift. Careful retouching. Kanina sabi, di ba, hindi maayos ang pagkakaayos. Genuine yun. Pero pag maayos ang pagkakaayos, non-genuine. For genuine, the writing is generally careless. Pabaya. Kasi sulat niya naman yun eh. Kumaga, bala na. Basta sulat lang ng sulat. That's careless. But in forged documents, in forged writing, careful sila. Kasi gusto nila na makuha nila, as in kuhang-kuha nila yung sulat nung fino-forge nilang sulat. Kaya careful sa lahat, pati sa pag-aayos ng mga strokes na nagkamali sila. Careful retouching. Concealed junction connection, defective line quality, hindi maayos yung quality ng pagkakasulat nila. Hindi maganda yung rhythm niya. Okay? Presence of indentation and traces of carbon in case of traced forgery. In indentation and traces of carbon are two ways on how to forge signatures or writing, which will be discussed next meeting or sa next video na i-upload ko. Then, presence of intercalation or interlineation, if you were also able to view the video last time, we have what we call line spacing. For example, ito. The space between number 5 and number 6. This is your line space. Kapag may nakasingit dyan, yung may, kunyari, arrow, tapos naglagay ka ng letter, o kaya may siningit na buong sentence dito or phrase, that is called interlineation. And usually, those are for non-genuine documents. And then, the presence of carbon in trace forgery. As in, yung carbon na ginagamit sa pag-duplicate ng mga documents. Mga resibo, kadalasan yan. Yun yung carbon na tinutukoy dyan. Okay.